made a statement. And for Sean Dylan Kelly, JP, he just wants to bring this home. Sean Dylan Kelly once again gets to the apex late, squaring it off, but Beaubier goes for position. And it's to the final corner. Here comes Kelly. He's deep on the brakes, trying to find position. Can he get it turned? They're going to squirt off the final corner. The drag race to the checkered flag. It's going to be Sean Dylan Kelly with the win by 1/10 of a second. And we get to do it all over again. It's time for our third of the weekend. This is the 10th anniversary of the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round, MotoAmerica Superbikes at Texas. It's round 8 of 9 for 2024. We're at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for Steel Commander Superbike, race number 3 of the weekend. And it has been a barn burner of a weekend in Steel Commander Superbike, and we're so excited to be bringing you this race. Welcome everyone to the broadcast. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, as of right now, Josh Herrin, in my opinion, the cards that he's being dealt, he is playing them to perfection.
Yeah, he's done a great job as we start to look at some of the highlights here, Greg, of highlights race 1 and 2. Josh Herrin has done what he needs to do, which, number one, got to get a good start. He's checked that twice. Both times he's got good starts. The next thing is, let's go put some good, hard, clean laps together at the beginning of these races. That's check number 2, Greg. He's done a really nice job with that. He has separated the field, and then at the end, he's been able to race with the guys that he knows he can ride around. Cameron Beaubier being one, Sean Dylan Kelly being another. As you can see yesterday, Cam had a couple of issues on his way to his podium finish. STK, same. He goes up underneath Herrin. He would lead yesterday's race for that long before his bike packed it in. You can see here, he gets that leg out. That created a big gap between Herrin and Cam Beaubier and Josh Herrin, rather. Escalante running third, but it was this guy here would lose the front, Greg, and that was the first big tell of, okay, maybe I need to get this championship and bring it home. Cam Beaubier would go through. Herrin would sacrifice those 5 points. Cam Beaubier would win the first race yesterday. Like I said, 5 points chipped away. Second start today was much of the same, Greg. It was another really good start from your points leader and the guy who's just really dominated the second half of the season. Herrin gets a good jump. STK makes a bold pass here, only to start to get to pull away. These two guys were battling pretty hard for about 3 or 4 laps. Finally, once Cameron Beaubier was able to break Josh Herrin, he had a last lap duel with STK, who was not going to be denied today. These guys went back and forth. You can see this is going into turn 10, last lap. As they went down that back straightaway, it looked like Cam Beaubier did have the measure until the last corner. The 40 of Sean Dylan Kelly gets in and out of that corner and beats Cameron Beaubier to the line. And ultimately, it only cost Josh Herrin 4 points in that race. So 9 points gained back has been what Cam Beaubier has done so far, and I think it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, pretty incredible. And of course, that one single point we're talking about, it could mean something down the road. But if you look at it right now, this Josh Herrin versus Cameron Beaubier, in terms of the points difference, at 9 points, what you're talking about. So as of this race, Jay, there are 75 points on offer. But the difference in points, not enough really to make the decision. We'll see what happens. If Josh Herrin could put Cameron Beaubier behind him in this race and finish that way, then Josh Herrin could wrap up this championship one race early. There is all that to play for. But let's get down to the third member of our broadcast team. So I hope she's in the shade. Hannah Lopa with more.
Sean Dylan Kelly in front of me here on the pit lane, just swinging his leg over a very special livery that he won, Doodles, from patients at the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. And he said it felt like fate running that livery this week to get his very first Superbike victory. Just made it all that much more emotional and special for him. But going into this race, Sean feels like he said he's just running on vibes. The confidence is really, really high. He's also not too pressed about this heat, being from Miami, Florida. So it's kind of disadvantage. It could be the perfect storm for Sean Dylan Kelly to do the double here this weekend, talking to both Herrin and Beaubier, just really not feeling this heat and just trying to take it as easy as possible. So a lot of different factors here could really play into Sean's favor, despite championship charge at the front.
Yeah, and of course we saw on his Instagram, STK was like running in Miami in the middle of the day in anticipation of coming here to Circuit of the Americas. And Jay, It's hot outside, but also this racetrack is very physically demanding.
It will wear you out, especially that turn from like turn 1 through turn 10. As you can tell, very physical, a lot of switchbacks back and forth. There's some elevation there as well. Hard braking areas take a toll on the body as well. As you see there in 11 and 12, 2 straightaways in turn 1 and 20. Stadium section, a little bit slower, but still a lot of movement on the motorcycle. And, you know, I think for SDK, like you said, he's done such a good job with his fitness, and coming from Miami, it's not really hurting him.
All right, let's take a look at the Insta 360 track lap. This is Ben Spies on a new Ducati.
Yeah, and I love seeing this. This was a treat for all of us yesterday to finally see Ben back on a bike. I think we should talk him into, you know, maybe doing a couple races next year.
Here we go.
So he's going to hate me for that, but it was really good. I talked to him a little bit as soon as he got off this motorcycle, and he's like, wow, it was so much fun. He loved the bike. Just talking about how good it was, like stock bikes compared to some of the things that are being raced and some of the bikes that he raced back in the past. So this is all those S's. You can see how much Ben's having to go back and forth on the seat all through this little S section here. Sun beating down on him there as well. Well over 100+ degrees yesterday as it is today. A lot of humidity today as well. So I think for when you look at what Ben did yesterday on this bike, you had to ask him if he was a little winded. So this is the end of the lap, Greg, around that big Coda tower that you see.
All right, so that's your Insta 360 track lap. Thanks to Ben Spies and Ducati for that. This guy looking for his second in a row in our third race of the weekend. Can he get it done? We'll find out. We're 4 minutes from start.
Looking out the window here of the broadcast booth as we have the Superbike riders making their way to their grid positions for the third and final time here this weekend. Roger, you see the number 2 bike there of Josh Herrin going through the championship scenarios for him. All he has to do is finish ahead of Cameron Beaubier. We haven't seen him put himself into the positions to fight for a win yet this weekend, but with this being the final race, do you think he does it now?
I think it's just going to depend on where he gets a start. He mentioned on the podium after that second race that he was going to go for the win in race 3. So we'll see what happens. It all depends on the start. And I think for Josh, he's going to be smart. He's going to want to battle early on, I think. But if the track is greasy and he starts having some moments, I think he'll try to bring it home.
Also watching on the podium earlier today, noticed that he found some shade over there for the interviews as he waited to go up there and collect that trophy. And in the case of Sean Dillon Kelly, we just heard, you know, being from Florida, he's been training in the heat of the day. The heat's not bothering him a lot, but you saw there when Josh Herrin went out to that grid position, some ice being dumped down his leathers. I think the heat is affecting him.
Yeah, and it's going to affect anyone when you're not used to it. You know how it is, you know, when it first starts getting hot and humid. Back east, it takes a little while to get used to it, and some guys that, you know, from California and other places, it's a lot to take on and not only be in the heat, but also riding a superbike in the heat as well. So you have to think it's even a little bit harder.
Warm-up lap underway. You see that number 94, that's Danilo Lewis, one of the riders in the Superbike Cup Championship. And for the riders that are out there with 3 races this weekend, you know, we talk about it in terms of how difficult this racetrack is. 2 different races going on out there for the Superbike Cup riders and Stock 1000 machinery. How much more challenging is having 3 races?
Well, I think it's a challenge because they have a lot smaller crews to get the bike turned around from one race to the next. So it's a challenge for those guys. Some of those guys work on their own bikes. So with the heat, and they don't have the luxury of handing the bike off to 3 or 4 mechanics and going in the team hauler in the air conditioning and kick back to the next race.
Everyone coming around to complete this lap. It is almost time for Steel Commander Superbike race number 3 here from Circuit of the Americas. Only 2 races remaining after today in this championship hunt. We're going to send it to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
Steel Commander Superbike coverage is brought to you by Steel Commander Corps, a leading steel building manufacturer offering expertise, innovation, and a dedication to quality. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Our starting grid for Steel Commander Superbike race number 2. It's Cameron Beaubier, Josh Herrin, Loris Baz.
SDK, Escalante, and Xavi Flores. They're on row 2, taking the place of Jake Gagne. Brandon Posh, JD Beach, Bobby Fong, Ashton Yates, Cameron Peterson, and Benjamin Smith on row 4. Danilo Lewis, Flinders, Poor Max had a hard weekend, hasn't he?
He's
Ezra
had a rough
Bodier,
one.
Nolan Lampkin, Gustin Sierra, Jason Waters, Orongo, Davis, and Segura. What's funny is I was watching these guys do the warm-up lap. Might be the slowest warm-up lap I've seen all year, mostly because the track is so long and the tires are plenty hot. So it's a matter of, you know, kind of not wanting to go and get rid of any extra exact rubber on your warm-up lap because it is already hot. They're not worried about getting their tires up to temperature.
Yeah, and this race is a quick start procedure for MotoAmerica.
Keep an eye on Bobby Fong here in this race because he did have some pace early in that race. And we saw that he was able to run some pretty competitive lap times when you look at the actual times that were being run at the front. So I'm going to look for the 50 to get a good start from, where's he coming from, Greg? Third row? So he's back there just a little bit on that third row is the 50. So we'll see if he can get a good start and get himself up there with that, that lead quartet.
So Josh Herrin with an opportunity to close it out today. But we'll see. There's a lot of racing left ahead. 12 laps scheduled in Steel Commander Superbike race number 3. Revs are up, clutches are out, and we're gone. To turn number 1 we go. Josh Herrin in the middle. Number 2, he got a good run at it. Cameron Beaubier trying to sweep around the outside, but it's going to be Herrin again to turn number 1. Things are getting a little snug in the inside, and bumping and grinding. Wow. Can't believe no one went down. That was a good heads-up display by everybody right there. So Josh Herrin leads the way. And it looks like we're going to have Cameron Beaubier and Sean Dillon Kelly getting after it again. And there's another Tytler Cycles BMW. That's going to be JD Beach in 4th.
Yeah, JD's right there, isn't he? And it looks like Cam Peterson this time. I hope I got that one right. But it looks like Cam Peterson 5th, Bobby Fong, and then Chavi's just behind Bobby Fong. So, you know, at the top of the show, Greg, we said, what's the first thing that Josh Herrin has to do right? Get that start. He's done it again. That Ducati's done a tremendous job getting off the line for him all through the course of the year. Josh gets tremendous jumps, and he's done it again. Baz is buried, though. He was caught up in those little incidences that you saw in turn 1. You see him there at the apex of turn 10. So coming from the second row for Baz, he's back there behind Brandon Posh at the moment. So look for him to make some quick moves to try to get himself up to the front.
Onto the back straightaway they go. Is Beaubier going to take a shot early? He's side by side with Herrin. He's going to go to the apex again. We saw him have a hard time get the thing turned, but this time he does a better job. Herrin trying to get on the gas and not let Beaubier get the advantage. Now this is a battle for the championship, but keep in mind it's a 51-point gap. Herrin doesn't have to try to close out today. He would like to, but there's still 2 races after this to go. But Cameron Beaubier, trying to keep his hopes alive, goes to the front.
Yeah.
Fans of MotoAmerica can pick their favorite riders for a chance to win money. Available on your favorite sportbook and daily fantasy sites like DraftKings and Underdog Fantasy. Visit nxtbets.com/playma for exclusive sign-up bonuses for new players and receive cash bonuses available in legal states. Check nxtbet.com/playma to see where you can play in your state.
I think, Greg, Cameron just has a total plan here. He wants to get out front, try to control this race. He hasn't had that first lap lead all weekend long. And for Josh Herrin, he knows if he wins, if he beats Cameron in this race, then he would be crowned. But I don't think he needs to take too many unnecessary risks. Let's just sit up front, see what the pace is like from the 6, and then you can start to make a plan second half of the race. But you can see what Beaubier is trying to do right now. Now for Herrin too, he could also push the fact that if he pushes and continues to push, there's Ezra Beaubier. It looks like that's going to be probably going up the front straightaway. So we'll see where that actually happened. And yeah,
that's Ezra Beaubier, brother to Cameron Beaubier. And obviously, its red flag is going to be out to make sure that the conditions are safe.
Yeah, last thing you want to do is have a bunch of riders going up that hill. And that's where I was trying to see where exactly it blew up. I knew he was at the top of the hill, but on the front straightaway, we'll have a look here and we'll see. Yeah, it's blowing up there. So last thing you want to do is have a group of riders come up there and start hitting that oil under heavy braking.
Now there is a belly pan on that bodywork that is designed to try to contain if there was an oil leak of some sort happening with that engine or in the system itself, and hopefully the belly pan was able to capture all that oil. We don't see any oil leaking out right now.
No, we don't. That's a good sign.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's not happening, but there is a plug, by the way, on that belly pan, so if it was raining and there's water that accumulates in there, that it would drain out. But during these dry conditions, that plug needs to be in that belly pan. But we'll see. The officials will take a long look at the front straightaway to see if there's any oil on the racetrack, and they'll get it sorted. And we will be back to COTA after this.
Red flag now being shown from the flagging stations all around a circuit of the Americas, needing to get Ezra Bobier's bike cleaned up and make sure that there is no fluid or anything out there on the racetrack. But Ezra's brother, Cameron Bobier, was starting to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely did not want to see that red flag there. You know, finally got in the lead, pulled out to about a half a second gap where he could, you know, that's the thing. You want to pull out a little bit of a gap so you can do your normal racing lines. Whenever a guy's right behind you, the fast line might be leaving the inside open where a guy can make some lunges. And for Cam, he's just got to do it again. He looked really aggressive, and also his bike looked a lot better on the brakes. He wasn't running as wide. I know it was early on. This red flag does help Loris Baz. He got a really bad start, so this gives him another opportunity.
We have not completed enough laps. We haven't completed any laps to be able to go off of a different grid. So everybody will go back to their original grid positions once this red flag period is over. Any work can be done on the bikes that need to be done. You just can't change the tires. Yeah,
and some guys, we talk about how hot it is. You kind of got a couple laps there to see how your bike is. And, you know, some guys might try to make a couple changes as you see the track marshals out there checking out the track.
Let's go down to pit lane with Michael Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Riders coming in down here, just stood next to the top pro team. Sean Dillon Kelly was just placing himself in a really good position there, wasn't he? Just comes in and sits down here, and he's just actually moved away into the shade. So I was going to try and grab a word with him, but he's kind of just moved to the other side. Oscar Augustin Sierra is down here as well. There's a little bit of sort of disconsolation down here with the Shivey team. Obviously, there's nothing that they can do. Now, of course, Ezra Bobier is not going to take any further part in this race. Let's have a little closer look then down here at this bike of Sean Dillon Kelly. This was the bike that, of course, won the first race today. And just how cool does it look? We've referenced it a few times so far this week, and all the different artwork there from the various students and the young children at the hospital, which is such a great initiative. It really is. And as Jamie has said, and as Greg and Jason have said as well, only one lap completed. In fact, not even a full lap completed. So we are going to have original grid positions for the resumption of this race. So MotoAmerica guys are out on turn one. As you can probably see if you are trackside, they're going to get this circuit ready to go racing, and we will be going racing again. But with that from me down here in the pit lane, let's hand it back to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
Okay, so we're actually watching live shots of our crack crew that is out there looking at any oil that made its way onto the racing surface, and that is oil dry, kitty litter, however you want to call it. And so it doesn't look like there's actually too much on there. We've seen instances before over the years where it's been a long way away. So this situation shouldn't take that long. But Jay, let's take a moment here and talk about, we have races that have red flags, but in these conditions with the sun shining, it being nearly 100 degrees, the track temperature, how difficult is it to deal with the red flag from more of a physical standpoint than a mental standpoint?
Well, like you say, Greg, you've geared yourself up and you've gone out, you've done a warm-up lap, and it was great that MotoAmerica did a quick start procedure in this race so that we didn't have to have all our crews and everything sitting out there in the sun. The hardest part is just you get out of your leathers and then you're trying to cool, getting back in them again. They're wet and it just makes everything just not as comfortable as you would like it. And then you've got to get in that brain space again of knowing that you're going to have to go out and run 10 more laps. Ezra did a nice job really here of getting that bike offline, and you can see where they're cleaning up this oil dry here. It's pretty wide up in the top of turn one, so there probably wouldn't be anybody unless they made a mistake and got out there. So Ezra, the second that bike let go, he did a nice job of moving it over there and getting off the normal line that you're going to see a lot of riders on.
So, and in the race distance now is going to be 10 laps once we get this race started. And what did you see, though, from the first bit that we saw as the race got going?
A little bit more franticness from Cameron. I think Bobier, he wants to be the guy that kind of dictates what's going to happen with the pace at the front. And from both races over the course of the weekend, we've seen him have to come from second, third, fourth place even. So for Cameron, I think he just wants to try to get himself up to the front earlier, dictate the pace a little bit more.
Just a reminder of where we are with our Steel Commander Superbike Championship standings. Josh Herrin with 280 points and Cameron Beaubier with 229, so that's a 51-point difference. So technically only Bobby Fong remains in this championship, because with this race number 3 and 2 races at New Jersey Motorsports Park, we have 75 points on offer. Now, Josh Herrin would like nothing more than to be able to wrap this championship up here and then be as free as a bird to go to New Jersey and just, try to win races free. But there's a possibility it might not happen, but it's still got a healthy point lead for Josh Herrin. And we talked about it at the top of the show. In terms of championships, Josh Herrin has won many in his career, and he knows how to get it done.
Yeah, there's no question. And that's the thing I think that a lot of people, I don't know if they forget, but he's been in this position many, many times. And like we've talked, all these guys, just such incredible riders, but the bike handling skills and that kind of thing that Josh possesses, all of his championships have been well earned. And the fact that he won a Superbike championship in 2013 and now it's 2024. So this is our start, and I think that the big winner of this is going to be Loris Baz, because Loris just kind of got clipped a little bit at the top of the hill there and went backwards. And when you can see him back there in 7th or 8th place on the other Warhorse bike, this was the move that Cam Beaubier put on the field going down into turn 10 to take the lead. That would be it. We'd only see them come across the stripe one time. So I think for a few riders that got good starts, they're going to be bummed at this. For a guy like Loris Baz, who's been through this situation a few times in his life, I'm sure, where the red flags come out, he's going to look at this and go, oh gosh, I got saved a little bit here. And he's going to do better to try to get his bike off the line. And how about all of our crew, MotoAmerica guys, just out there in the heat working it. And yeah, let's get back down to Hannah.
In the pits here, just getting some shade, sitting in front of a big fan, staying ready. But Sean, take us through the start of that race.
Yeah, no, I think a pretty good start. Could definitely tell that Cam's trying to get up there. I know that's his plan. He has a little bit something on everybody in terms of outright pace. So I think that we need to cover up a little bit and fight to the end like we did earlier today.
How are the conditions out there? It's a little bit hotter than it was earlier. What's the bike doing underneath you?
Yeah, a little bit hotter, a little bit more physical. Conditions are a bit more greasy, so I think we're going to lack a little bit of grip out there, but it's going to be a fight for sure.
Now, we've been talking a lot about a very special livery that you're running and how special it was for you to get your first win. What are you going to do with that bodywork after this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to do a fundraiser with all that bodywork, especially after this win. It's going to be super special, so we're going to be giving all those funds right back to the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. They definitely need it more than us, so looking forward to that.
All right, keep eyes on Sean Dylan Kelly's social media channels for more information on how you can contribute to the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital and score yourself some very cool livery from his first ever Superbike race win.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
he's got to save something, though, right? Like the leathers, the helmet. I mean, maybe he's going to give it all away. The guy's very, very generous, but that's really cool. All right, so we're going to get this red flag sorted out some more. We'll be back to Circuit of the Americas for our restart of race number 3 for Steel Commander Superbike.
Thanks for staying with us then on MotoAmerica Live Plus. If you are just joining us, we are in a red flag situation. Ezra Beaubier's BMW expiring. The course workers have done a great job to get the circuit ready to go racing again. And in a few minutes' time, we're going to have a quick start procedure. That means that the riders will come out of the circuit. They'll head up around for one lap. They are going to line up on the grid, and then they are going to be sent off on one warm-up lap. There is Xavi Flores just making his way forward. Just let's move forward, Steve, actually, just so we don't get run over. But as I said, under normal situations, we would be coming out onto the grid and we would be doing our normal little grid walk. That doesn't happen when you go for a quick start procedure. It's going to be 10 laps and it's going to be pretty much elbows out. We've already heard from Sean Dylan Kelly. I'm sure the nerves are there for Josh Herrin, but he's looked really unflappable, hasn't he? He's looked really calm pretty much all season long, and he's in a really, really good opportunity now. As we now see bikes coming out onto the circuit, he's in a really good position to take his first Superbike title in more than 10 years. There is Cameron Beaubier heading out. He's got one job to do in this race, and he has to win if he wants to keep the championship alive, or at least, worst case, get a few bikes between himself and Sean Dylan Kelly. We saw, Jamie, in that first race today, the second of the weekend, that Sean Dylan Kelly, he may be riding for BMW, but there's no allegiance to the German manufacturer. Sean Dylan Kelly is in this for himself. If Beaubier wants to win the title, he's going to have to win this race.
Yeah, it was great to see that Sean Dillon Kelly was able to win that race and wasn't concerned about championship points. And yes, they're both riding the same manufacturers, but they're riding them under 2 different tents. So you don't have to think about team orders, Roger.
No, not at all. And you know, and for Sean, he wants to race for the win, and he's racing for his team. And I really liked what Cam Beaubier said after that race. He really gave Sean credit. You know, he didn't make an excuse. And it's really cool to see. And for Sean, just wants to win. And also, I think for him and his team, they want to get the momentum and collect some data going into next year. But with, like everyone else has said, Cam Beaubier looks like he's on a mission this race. He's been aggressive early on. He has the pace, and I think he just wants to get away and not find himself in those battles he's found himself in race 1 and 2.
You talked about Loris Baz having the opportunity to get a better start here on this restart. He will line up again in that 3rd position alongside his teammate Josh Herrin on the front row. Is there anybody else you think that could gain something here by getting to start over?
Richie Escalante. If he can get another really good start, he showed he's got the pace this weekend. But as we mentioned before, Cam, Josh Herrin, Sean Dillon Kelly, they're too fast to give them 2 or 3 seconds early on in the race and then try to close that down. You have to go with them right away.
See Loris Baz there going to his grid position, that number 2 right behind him, Josh Herrin. The up and down in terms of getting into a rhythm. Weren't able to complete the first lap of this race. For Josh now to have to refocus. For a rider like him, is that difficult?
No, I don't think so for a guy with Josh's experience. The thing is, you get really hot the first time. It's harder to cool down when you come in after doing, you know, even though it was just a couple laps.
See if he can manage the pressure and the heat, go for a championship title. We'll send it back over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
Steel Commander Superbike coverage is brought to you by Steel Commander Corps, a leading steel building manufacturer offering expertise, innovation, and a dedication to quality. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Back to live shots. This is quick start procedure for Steel Commander Superbike race number 3 here, MotoAmerica Superbikes at Texas. Jason, what does that mean?
Well, basically, you can see all that crew. They just sent a member of the crew out to make sure that the riders know their mark on the grid. Now everybody's scattering away there. These guys are going to get to go out and do one more sighting lap, or a warm-up lap, as you would call it, Greg. And warm-up lap's not something they really probably need today, but they're going to go do one more warm-up lap. And this gives them a chance also to go up to turn 1 and see where the work was done up there as well. They'll see that where the dry sweep was put down and that kind of thing. So then we'll come back around and get them going again.
Josh Herrin, the number 2 in the Fast by Faraci livery. That's a throwback type livery from 30 years ago, where Geraldo Faraci and his team won their last AMA Superbike title with Jason, who?
Troy Corser.
Troy Corser in 1994.
I remember those days. A couple things that were really interesting to me there were that SDK stayed in his leathers, if you noticed that. And I think he had fans on him and stuff, but he stayed in his leathers. Because like I said, it can be kind of a pain to get in and out of them. Second thing is he saw the same thing on track that we saw here in the booth. Cam Beaubier is got a little bit different plan here. He wants to get to the front early. He just has, I don't think he struggles to get the BMW off the line. I just think that the Ducatis get off the line a little bit better, especially in the hands of Josh Herrin. So this guy here, 76 at the back of this warm-up lap. You can see everybody just kind of cruising.
Yeah, they're definitely cruising. Now,
just
Jay,
a slow warm-up lap.
FCK, when Hannah spoke with him, he said that it's warmer than it was at the noon race today, and it's a little greasy. Can you tell us what that would mean if you're new to Superbike racing?
It just means that when the track temperature goes up, you know, as much as it does, and we get right into these hot afternoons here in Texas, that the track temperature is going to be so high that the tires and stuff will tend to feel a little bit greasy underneath you. The grip level might not be there, as you heard him say. They might be fighting a little bit of grip towards the end of the race. So again, it just makes it even more important to get out front early so that you can kind of control things a little bit.
And so far this weekend, even with the new asphalt that was laid here at Circuit of the Americas, even from when MotoAmerica was here with Mission King of the Baggers all the way back in April when MotoGP was here, they've laid down a lot of new surface, and boy, we have seen track records fall, but we've also seen the Dunlop tires perform amazing.
Yeah, really good. And I think that, to your point, you know, Coda in the past has been told that it's been bumpy, it's been this and that. Man, all the riders are raving about it that I have spoke to. All the riders are really happy with the stuff that Coda has done here. I mean, look, this is a world-class facility. There's a reason why we have MotoGP here at the beginning of the year. So it's when they come back now, they're going to be even happier with it, I think, when the MotoGP circus comes back here to Coda. You can just see here, just look at that brand new pavement. It's beautiful.
All right, so a lot of people would think that this is a restarted race, and in a way it is. But in essence, when you look at positions and scoring, this is a 10-lap race. It's a complete restart. And so it's going to be Cameron Beaubier, Josh Herrin, and Loris Baz on pole position. Sean Dillon Kelly, Richie Escalante, Xavi Forez. Then you're going to have Brandon Posh, J.D. Beach, Bobby Fong, Yates Peterson Smith, Lewis Flinders Beaubier. Well, look like Ezra Beaubier is probably going to be out.
He's probably out, yeah. That wasn't electrical.
Yeah, Lampkin, Sierra, Waters, Arango, and Bobby Davies. All right, so here we go. It's time to go racing again, and the clutches are out. Now, up the hill we go to turn number 1. Herrin looks like he got another great start. Is Beaubier going to try to sneak up the inside this time? No, but it looks like Xavi Forez tried on the Yamaha. He doesn't get there in enough time to gain a bunch of positions, but he was there at the apex. So, once again, although it looks like Sean Dillon Kelly didn't get quite the start he's gotten, and there is Herrin's teammate Loris Baz in 4th place. But right back together we go. So it's Josh Herrin, Cameron Beaubier, Sean Dillon Kelly, and Loris Baz from 3rd on the grid.
Yep, look at Sean Dillon Kelly. He goes right up underneath Beaubier. That's what he felt. That's what he said he needed to do. He needed to try to slow the number 6 down. And now Beaubier finds himself in a very familiar position that he has been in a lot in the course of the weekend with riders in front of him, and maybe Greg not being able to take advantage of that outright speed on new tires. And look at this, Loris Baz now has a look up underneath Cameron Beaubier. So he's got picked off by SDK and Baz early in the lap here. So for Herrin now, he's just got to try to run and try to get away the best that he can. As you can see, Beaubier now goes back past Baz as they go down that back straightaway.
On the brakes they go, and Kelly not close enough to Herrin to make a move. Neither is Baz on the number 6 Beaubier.
Another notable thing there is Brandon Posh is ahead. You see J.D. Beach run wide. Brandon Posh is ahead of his teammate Escalante. They're in 5th and 6th right now on those Suzukis. So for Brandon Posh, who had a much better second race than he did first race, he's right on the back of this this lead group as well.
All right, so confidence building for the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team on those GSXR 1000s. They have some ground to make up in this section. They lose a couple of bike lengths, but Herrin continuing to dictate the pace. And when we get to our start-finish line, we're going to see what kind of pace he has. We know we're seeing some splits, Jay. Into the final corner that we go. And Herrin, he's going to pull the trigger and get off the corner.
From a standing start, let's just see what they do. It's going to be... didn't get a standing start time there, Greg. So he's got 3/10 lead, obviously, over the rest. As you can see, Bobby didn't get a good start either. He's back there 8th place, just behind Camp P. Xavi Forez, who you said was going down the inside of everybody. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him, but he's back in 9th. So, but Herrin just got to do what he knows how to do here. Especially, again, new tires. Go try to get away. He has the ability to win this race. And I think that's what he's got to try to put his focus on if he wants to wrap this up today.
Yeah, and that was the plan. I mean, again, we talked about it, and Herrin had said, look, 3rd place yesterday, all I need to do is 1st and 3rd, and I'm in good shape. But the situation currently is all he's got to do is put his bike ahead of Cameron Beaubier, and he could wrap early, and there could be a number 1 plate given out on the podium to Josh Herrin today, being called Steel Commander Superbike National Champion. But Cameron Beaubier doesn't want to let him get away, so he'll sneak past Kelly.
Well, Cam's got to take all the risks, doesn't he? Right now, Cam Beaubier has to take all the risks. The guy that cannot beat him is leading and trying to pull away, and right now has gone red, and on the first 2 splits, which means he's quicker than anybody else on the track in those first 2 splits. But Beaubier is on the back of him now as they come. He's going to run a little bit wide, though, Greg. See if SDK sneaks back up underneath him. I don't think he's going to be close enough to do it. Nope. So not quite close enough was SDK to get back by Beaubier, but Cam's got to try to just pull this gap back down. And I suspect that when he gets there, he's going to take a pretty quick shot. As you see, SDK, still, he wanted to go up underneath Beaubier there, but Beaubier is pretty tight into that section.
One thing we know too about young riders, when they get their first taste of victory, sometimes it can come in waves. And SDK wanting to get his second, not wanting Beaubier to get away.
And he decided, I'm sure if you'd have told him the second he got off the podium, we're putting gas back on the bike right now, we're putting new tires on, let's go line them back up. He was probably charged up and ready to go for race 3 the second that race 2 was over. So for SDK, he had to sit there for a couple hours and just let that first win sink in. And now he's got to get back to work. As you can see, a 208.5, 208.4 from Beaubier, 208.9. So the first 4 riders, including Baz, there are in the 208s.
So fast. These lap times in this blistering heat. And Loris Baz in that struggle in sector number 1, starting to lose touch with the top 3. And now we're starting to see a little bit of gap that we hadn't seen in our first race of today, which is race 2 for the weekend of Steel Commander Superbike. But Herrin dictating the pace. Remember, yesterday, this was about the same time as yesterday. Very similar conditions in terms of the heat. And Herrin was like 209s, 209s, 209s. But early on, Hannah, this pace is blistering.
The heat is blistering and the pace is certainly blistering. For Josh Herrin, he wants to get out front really early. Yesterday we saw him leading, and he said toward the end of that race he started thinking a little bit too much about Cameron Beaubier and started making some mistakes. Today he just wants to focus on himself and run his own race, but Cameron Beaubier being right behind him and trying to close this gap to the front, he's going to make it hard to ignore him.
Yeah, Jay, that's what we talk about when we say race forward or race behind you.
Yeah, well, I think that as the race weekend's gone on, he's going to have more confidence. And it looked like he was a little bit slow there getting into that corner, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure if he just missed a gear, maybe the first initial gear. But for Herrin, he's got to have gained confidence from those first two races of the weekend. And now he can just go out, and he's been the guy that's really been setting the pace in the races themselves. Beaubier's been a little bit quicker as far as practices and qualifyings go, but when it comes to race day, Herrin, he's a Sunday guy, and he's able to go out and set some very, very fast times, and he's done a very quick first split. Cameron's followed that with a very fast second split, and you can see that lead 3 guys have really broke away from Baz now.
And that was a good look at some of the crew of the Warhorse HSBK Ducati racing team and the environment that they've been able to create around Josh Herrin and the support they've been able to provide for him. And he has really thrived in this environment. He gets hired by the team 2 years ago. He wins handily the Supersport Championship. And then he's in a position right now, the dream position, 11 years after his first Superbike championship. And Josh Herrin is controlling the pace of this race. And once again, if he wants to try to close today, the whole goal is keeping Cameron Beaubier behind him.
Yeah, and that's what it's, obviously that's just what it's come down to. You beat Cameron Beaubier, you can win this championship, right now. So he's got to try to just keep his head above him. I'm sure that when the race went to 10 laps, for 10, you start to tell yourself, hey, they've shortened the race. I can push hard for 10 laps. I mean, I know he knows what he's got underneath him. So 10 laps, you just got to grind those out the best you can. And the hard laps will be those 4 to 8 laps when you see that the +0's on your board. And Beaubier might not give him the chance to see another +0 because it looks like he's ramping up to draft or get in some sort of draft and pass maybe here at the end of the back straightaway. We'll see.
Losing a couple bike lengths in tow is the 40 of Sean Dillon Kelly. But now Beaubier out of the draft is going to move up the inside. He's got position, but he hasn't been able to make it stick all the time. He's a little wide coming out, but a better finish to that corner. But Herrin's going to try to sneak up the inside. There's no room there, so Beaubier will have the spot for the moment. Yeah,
just a little bit too hard there, that angle that Herrin was coming into that right, but he wanted to let Cam know, I'm not just going to give this to you. I'm going to push you and make you earn it. So now it's going to be up to Cam to put his head down. This guy has been in this position a million times. What's he won, Greg? 83 races, I think you showed me earlier. 84 races. So Beaubier's been in this position. But look at Herrin. He's trying to ride around the outside, and it's going to put him down the inside as they come into this next lap. And that's what you got to love about the guy, that fight that he's got in him. And he's going to lead and not let Cam. Is Cam going to sneak back underneath him? He is. But this is what it's going to do. He's just going to hassle Cam the whole time. And look at that Ducati as he gets it turned out of there. Now he's going to be up behind, and Sean Dillon Kelly's got a first-class seat to watch this as Herrin tries to go straight to the inside of Beaubier to get to the top of turn 1.
Boy, Josh Herrin really wanting to win this championship by winning the race. Also possibly looking at Cameron Beaubier saying, hey, he's made some mistakes this season and last season with losing the front. Try to force the number 6 into a mistake. But Herrin right now putting on a masterclass.
Yeah, no, he's doing a great job, and this is exactly what he's got to try to do. Just keep fighting back. And, you know, now he's got, what, Greg, 5.5 laps essentially from his, his second championship. But, you know, in the back of his mind, too, I also think that he's going to be playing this smart.
Hannah?
The first race earlier today, we saw Cameron Beaubier's bike moving around a bit on track. I talked to him about it. He said they made some changes to the front end to help that tire longevity. So as these laps wind down under these greasy conditions, that's also something that's certainly on Cam's mind as he's trying to overcome Josh Herrin right now.
Yeah, 2:08.8 last time by the stripe for Beaubier and a 2:09.2. But obviously that is completely gone and erased from what Josh Herrin and Cameron Beaubier are able to do, as Sean Dillon Kelly on the 40, still trying to close the gap, and Beaubier back to the top spot. Can he get it turned? Yeah, his front end looks a lot better than it did in race number 2.
Besides that, Herrin's going down the back straightaway on the left trying to protect, and Beaubier committed very earlier to moving over to the right and kind of getting in that preferred spot on the track as they went down into that that left-hander at the end of the back straightaway. So now it's just a matter, but man, the speed that the number 2 has through this next long right-hander. I mean, he literally rode around the outside of Cameron, and he's trying it again. I mean, look where he's at. He's putting himself on the swing arm of Cameron Beaubier going around the outside of him there. Beaubier was a little bit more up for it on that lap and used a lot of exit to make that a little bit harder for Josh. And Josh got a good run on him here as they come into the last corner.
Here goes Herrin on the brakes. Oh, not a lot of room. He's got to make Beaubier stand up, and Herrin trying to get the Ducati turned. He does on the throttle and comes across the stripe, and he will be credited with that lap lead. But well, a little bit of a bobble out of the Ducati when Josh was moving his body. Up to turn 1 they go. Beaubier fighting right back. This mucking about has gotten SDK right on the back of them as well.
Yeah, and you can see that time when Josh looked back, did you see the wobble of the Ducati just a little bit? Just even at the speeds that they're going, when you turn around and you get your head going another direction, that turbulence and things that you get, or even the slightest movement, made that bike move around, and it allowed Cameron to drive back up alongside of him going up the hill and do the pass that Josh did on him the lap prior. You're going to see it here as he goes up underneath him. Perfectly good, clean pass here from Josh Herrin.
There goes Herrin on the right part of your screen.
Herrin makes a pass.
Another lead change for Josh Herrin to take it over. And boy, it's anywhere on the racetrack for Herrin. He's able to put his motorcycle any spot he wants at the moment. Wow. This is Steel Commander Superbike, the premier class here in MotoAmerica, and you're watching 3 of the most talented racers in the world get after it. Josh Herrin and Cameron Beaubier lockstep in a championship that's lopsided in Herrin's favor. Cameron Beaubier trying to keep this championship alive to the final round of the championship, and Josh Herrin trying to put a stamp on it and a stop to it right now, and he is doing a great job all the while. The number 40 of Sean Dillon Kelly on that EasyHealthPlans.com Top Pro Racing, coming off of his very first Steel Commander Superbike win of his career, wants number 2, but also he doesn't want to get involved in this championship and make a mistake and take anyone down. So there's so much to play for, but the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati rider, number 2, Josh Herrin from California, leads the way.
Yeah, and SDK is doing a good job. He's just kind of sitting there. He's letting these guys hash it out, and if any doors open, the 40's not going to waste any time to get through. Look at the gap that Herrin pulls through those 2 corners, that big long right-hander, and the fact, Greg, that he's able to go up the inside of Cam and have the ability to do that in the S's that we saw here just a minute ago. That just shows the kind of confidence that he's riding with and riding on right now. He maybe, Greg, has just put that championship completely out of his brain and gone, you know what, if I go handle my business like I've been doing the last few rounds, everything else will take care of itself, and that's really the mindset that you have to have.
So Herrin, with 4 laps to go now in this 10-lap race, has got Cameron Beaubier and Sean Dillon Kelly right there. That's the podium. Dolores Baz and Richie Escalante are battling behind them, just about 3 seconds back, as well as Brandon Posh. So a lot of racing happening on this racetrack, but our eyes are all forward on these 2.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, why would you take your eyes off this battle at the front? And you can see when they start to not battle as much, it spreads out a little bit between the 3 of them. But you know, you're going to see another couple shots fired, I guarantee. As I saw Xavi Flores' name going down our screen, and I was kind of wondering what that was about. But it looks like his Attack Yamaha debut here at COTA. He'll be back at Jersey but he's not going to finish this race here.
So the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha rider out of this one. And as we go, yeah, what are you seeing right now?
A little bit of a gap there now between second and third, so I'm not sure if we just missed something with SDK. He lost half a second to Cam Beaubier in that second split. So here you go. Cam Beaubier now positions himself up the inside of Herrin once again, and he's going to make that pass on that Tyler's BMW. He makes the pass stick. And now, again, he's going to have to fight off. You've seen the advances that Herrin makes in the long right that they're coming up to, that turn 17, 18 area. And then also in the middle of the S's, Herrin's got so much roll speed through the middle, he's able to just let the bike roll anywhere he wants. And you can see a lot of acceleration, gets through this extremely well. He lets the bike run out a little bit wider in the middle of the corner than Beaubier. And again, he's on the outside of him again, Greg, and he's going to make that same pass.
Beaubier must be thinking, what is going on here? Like, how much edge grip does Josh Herrin have, and how much is he willing to keep this going? And we get to the start-finish line now. There's going to be 3 laps to go as Herrin trying to find some grip, the back end of his Ducati. And Cameron Beaubier will lead over the line, as now SDK is about a half a second back as they go up to turn number 1 and start sector number 1.
Josh just tried to get the bike up right a little early as Beaubier is a little bit deep into 1. He just tried to snap the bike up a little bit early, and for the amount of throttle he was given it, you saw him just get bucked up out of the seat ever so slightly. But you see how much he closed on him just right there. Just on the exit of turn 2, he just rolls up on the back of that BMW. Now, Beaubier is going to know he's a little bit susceptible in these little switchbacks that we have coming up out of this right into the next left. And then you can see Josh had a notion there.
Yeah.
And then out of here into the next right. That's where Herrin got him a lap ago, or a couple laps ago. So, you know, for Cameron, that's kind of his weak points compared to the Ducati, I think. And but Herrin just rolling right up the back of Beaubier right now.
Here we go.
Takes another shot.
Yeah, down to turn 11 we go.
He's in deep too, and he still gets the bike turned though.
Plenty of room. Wheel in the air. And a good move by Josh Herrin to take the lead again. All the while, the number 40 sitting back there going, come on, just give me another couple
back
tenths.
in it, isn't he? I mean,
give me another couple tenths, guys. And Beaubier back to the lead.
Yeah, as soon as those two guys in the front start engaging with each other, the 40 just creeps right up to the back of him. And again, like I said, he's not going to need any second invitations. And, you know, for as young as SDK is, we forget how young he really is. He's got such a good head on his shoulders, and he's not going to just throw himself into this fight. He knows what these two guys are fighting for, and he's not just going to throw it in there without knowing that it's a definite thing that he can do.
Yeah, for Sean Dillon Kelly, 2 years in Moto2 and the MotoGP World Championship definitely helped him learn a thing or two, even with the results he was getting. And he is very headstrong. But look at Herrin run up on Beaubier again.
He starts that, it gets on the throttle so early. You see the Ducati spinning up very, very early through that long right there, and he's able to start to stand the bike up. By him using more radius in the middle of that corner, it allows him to get it up off the edge of the tire just a little bit sooner, where I feel like Cameron's in there just tighter around the inside, maybe relying on the electronics a little bit more, but Herrin lets the bike roll through the middle of there a lot better.
All right, 2 laps to go. Start doing your breathing exercises now, because this last lap is definitely going to be one where you're going to be holding your breath. So much on the line. Josh Herrin, he's got a lot of points, 51-point difference when this started. Right now, it's 46. There's only 50 on offer after this race concludes. So Beaubier, if they finish like this, would carry this on to New Jersey. But Josh Herrin, as we get to this lap and a half to go, doesn't want that to happen. If he's gonna, he definitely is gonna take a shot at Beaubier. Once, twice, 3 times, who knows, with this lap and a half to go.
Don't you kind of feel, Greg, that for Herrin to be doing what he's doing right now, he's just got to have so much confidence in his bike underneath him right now.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much confidence in where that Ducati is and how it's feeling to him right now. For him to be pushing this hard, you know, it's very, very impressive.
We heard Bobby Fong off the track, back there out of 8th place, but our eyes are focused on this as they're on the back straightaway now, heading to turn number 12 of 20. So when we get off this back straightaway, 8 more corners to navigate as we're going to head towards the white flag. Beaubier with probably the biggest lead we've seen so far in this race.
Well, I mean, he's actually controlled a lap, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't been able to see
and
Josh
look at sector 2 split.
Take a real shot. Both these guys are quick. Cameron goes quickest quickest sector of the race in Sector 2, and Josh Herron almost matches it with his personal best. But look at this little gap. There's just a little bit of a gap. That'll be gone, though, by the exit of this next right-hander. I mean, you can see how far back Herron is in that particular moment. If he rolls through this big, long right the way he has been, he'll be back on the back of Cameron by the time they get around for this last lap.
Look at Herron just steer the motorcycle with the rear end. He gained a couple of bike legs.
A lot of bike legs. Yes, he did.
But Beaubier, now it's going to be the white flag lap. Time to hold your breath. Here we go. Pull the trigger. Onto the front straightaway we go. Beaubier wheel in the air. He's got a decent gap on this white flag. Goes fastest lap of the race. 208.251.
In very like hot, steamy, greasy conditions. Herron through these S's has been incredible, and I think it would have to be almost a surprise pass in the S's somewhere for him to actually win this race. Now, he's a little bit too far back for any of that. He'll close in, though, as they look at how much tighter he can turn that Ducati, which will open up the radius of this next fast left. Look how much he has closed in on the back of Cameron just in this section. So now he's going to go through this right, loses a little bit of time there, and he's just not quite close enough. I was thinking it could have been out of that right to this left or this left to the right. Not close enough, Greg. So if he gets close enough to take a stab down in turn 10, which is just 2 corners away, you could bet the number 2 will give it a go.
Cameron Beaubier looking for his 65th win in the Steel Commander Superbike class. Josh Herron looking for win number 17. And of course the championship on the line. Final lap of our final Steel Commander Superbike race here at Circuit of the Americas. To the back straightaway we go, and the long drag race. Does Josh Herron have enough in the draft? He's there. Now they're going to go into turn number 12. Deep on the brakes they go.
Greg, he's got to run a perfect next 3 corners, because I believe if he can get to that turn 17, 18 area again on the back wheel of Beaubier. But look at how much Cam just pulled away out of there. So Cam, you know, out of that tight left was incredibly good. And all through here, you can see Beaubier now is just pulling that gap ever so slightly away from the 2 of Herron. But what a fight he has put up. I just think that the gap now is just maybe that bit too much.
Too much risk reward for Josh Herron in these last couple of corners on the final lap of race number 3. Cameron Beaubier fighting for his championship life, trying to keep his hopes alive, and Herron nearly tosses it away. Wow, Josh Herron, that's going to be it for him. So it's all going to be Cam Beaubier to the line. 1 more corner to go for the number 6 Tytler Cycles BMW. Cameron Beaubier on the gas, looks forward, sees the checker flag flying, and will take the victory. And Josh Herron safely makes it across the line. And Beaubier with the fastest lap of the race on the final lap at 2:08 flat. And there goes Richie Escalante in 4th place. Sean Dillon Kelly will be 3rd, and Loris Baz in 5th.
Great run from Brandon Posh, too. How about 2 Suzukis in the top 6? So good result for them. Man, what a race.
Wow, Josh Herron.
Look at this.
Sector 2 and Sector 3 set his personal split. Look at going sideways, steering the bike with the rear end, and it's that snapback. Man, oh man.
And as he came into that next lap, you could see him just sit up. All right, hey, I gave every single thing I could.
And he did.
And he fought, but this guy was not to be denied today. What a race. He goes 2:08 flat on his last lap. 2:08 flat, Greg, on the last lap of the race. Yeah, these guys gave us a show.
They certainly did, and the championship marches on to New Jersey Motorsports Park. When we get back to Circuit of the Americas, can't wait to hear what Cameron Beaubier had to say about that awesome battle in race 3.
Cameron Beaubier had one job to do coming into this 3rd and final race here at Circuit of the Americas, Roger Hayden, and that was to go out and win.
Yeah, and he did that, and that was an awesome race between both those guys. I mean, you talk about a heavyweight fight, the 2 best guys in the Superbike class this year fighting it out all the way till a couple corners to go. Cam was aggressive early, got shuffled back a little bit, but worked his way toward the front. Last lap, 2:08.0. Not only that, but toward the end of the race, and you think about the red flag with the heat cycle on the tires, that takes away a little bit as well. But he did what he had to do and pulled just enough gap where he could block those areas where Josh was faster. But man, Josh put up a fight. He did not give up until 2 corners to go after that big mistake. That was a lot of fun to watch, and both those guys put on a show.
that fastest lap of the race. You mentioned coming on the last lap, that 2:08.074. Looking back at the second race of the weekend that was earlier today, identical lap time laid down by Sean Dillon Kelly, also aboard a BMW. So very consistent conditions here and super fast during the race pace even. You see Josh Herrin there taking a championship lead into the final round of the season that will come at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's been a dream season for Josh Herrin. 5 wins on the season, 12 podium finishes as he looks for a Superbike title.
Yeah, he put up a fight. I mean, he did what he had to do. He was so fast through that turn 17 and 18. You know, you think about riding around the outside of a 5-time Superbike champion, just the corner speed that he had was just really fun to watch. And, you know, Josh said it after the second race this morning. He was going for the win this race, and he lived up to it. But, you know, he gave up 5 points today, and I think he'll take that. Going to the last race with 46-point lead, Josh has got to be feeling pretty good about that.
Huge pad there for him and that whole Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati organization. They just have a couple of weeks where get things regrouped and get ready to go to what is a home track for that team. Saw Cameron Beaubier on the cool down lap getting a congratulations from his teammate JD Beach, able to finish inside of the top 10 today, bringing home a 7th place result.
Cam Beaubier is starting to close in on the all-time win list. I think that puts him 3 out now, so or a couple out at least, not there, but he's getting closer.
I believe you're right. He was his 64th Superbike win for Cameron Beaubier here today. Looking at the all-time win list, that moves him into 85 AMA wins all-time. We're going to go ahead and send it over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore to hear from these riders.
What a race that was, and what a performance by Josh Herrin. We were talking during the commercial break about what a fighter he is all the time. And I mean, with everything on the line, I mean, it wasn't everything on the line, you know, but there's so much on the line. Yes. He wanted to win this championship and wrap it up and gave it everything he had. But then Cameron Beaubier on the fastest lap of the race, on the last lap, able to eke out a win by 9/10 of a second. What do you think about that one?
I mean, yeah, look, Cameron Beaubier did exactly what he needed to do. Herrin ran him as hard as he could. So impressed by his grit and determination to try to win this race and win the championship today. Now he's got 2 weeks to think about it with a 46-point lead rolling into Jersey and a breakout weekend for Sean Dillon Kelly. I mean, we've already seen Sean Dillon Kelly have breakout weekends, but he get his first win and did as well as he did is amazing.
The results have Cameron Beaubier winning over Herrin and SDK. That's going to be your podium. Escalante only 6 seconds behind on his return to racing in his second weekend, still riding into fitness. Baz Posh, Beach, Ashton Yates in 8th place, great result. And then you have Benjamin Smith and Cameron Peterson back there in 10th position. And a tip of the cap just off the screen, Max Flinders in 11th on a rough weekend. But let's get right down to Hannah, who has Cameron Beaubier, our winner.
Cameron Beaubier keeping his championship hope alive. That was a hot third race of the weekend. Take us through that battle and how you were able to prevail over Josh Herrin.
Yeah, I'm pretty toast after this weekend. Lots of riding, lots of sweating, but man, that felt so good to get that done for the Tyler's boys. This afternoon, I felt like I kind of let them down this morning. I have no lack of effort. I've been giving it everything I got every lap, but this afternoon felt really good. I felt like they made a little step on the bike, and yeah, it gave me something to really fight with at the end. I felt really good there at the end. Josh had some good places. He was stronger than me, especially that long right-hander at the end of the track. But man, honestly, the rest of the track, I felt like I had a little something. So just put everything I had in those last 2 laps and was able to hold it off. So, like I said, massive thanks to Tyler's BMW, the Kylies back at home, Bell Alpine Stars, Man Above for keeping me safe, family for coming out, and yeah, move on to New Jersey and yeah, just keep fighting till the end.
Mathematically, you're very much still in this championship hunt. We've got some time now to New Jersey. Take us through what your mindset will be like when you're at home. Are you thinking a lot about this? Are you trying not to think about this?
To be honest with you, I still have the same mentality coming into this place. I'm just gonna take it race by race. He's still got a healthy cushion. I've won a few of these, so I kind of know kind of know, you know, what he's thinking and how he's feeling, and he's probably pretty comfy going into Jersey. So we're just going to keep our head down and doing our thing each race and try to finish strong.
Congrats, Cam, guys.
Yeah, he's won 5 of these in his career, first one in 15. And for Cameron Beaubier, his 85th career win. That's one behind Miguel Duhamel. He could pass him for all time, but let's get back down to Hannah.
Josh Herrin second place today, and still a very comfortable lead, as we just heard Cameron Beaubier talking about. Where is your mindset after this race?
Getting in my revived cold plunge right now. That was a hot one. I don't think I've ever pushed that hard in my life to try to get a win, and it was probably pretty stupid of me to push that hard. I almost had a huge high side on the last lap, and yeah, just thanks to Simone and Ducati Corsa for the awesome electronics, as we were able to make up for us being a little conservative on the power this weekend, making some really cool outside passes. So hopefully everybody back home was enjoying that, because I was scared to death. So yeah, just huge shout out to my entire team. I'm sorry for Archie that we were able to get this one done this weekend, but the bodywork and leathers look beautiful. Thank you to my entire Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati team. Thank you to August X, Parts Unlimited, everybody that's involved, Duck Performance, HSBK Racing, KYT Helmets, OnlyFans, GoPro, Alpine Stars, others, everybody. It's been a dream year, and I pushed way too hard this weekend and got really lucky. So I'm happy to be leaving here with a good lead and going into Jersey.
Championship rolls on to New Jersey for Josh Herrin.
Hey, if you want to be a champion, you got to ride like one, right?
Yeah.
And he did all weekend long. I thought he looked really comfortable out there myself, even though he took some big chances, Hannah.
Third place today for Sean Dylan Kelly. Just asking him, you know, how he's feeling right now. It looks a little bit disappointed. He said, I just won a race 2 hours ago. I'm fine. Really strong end to the weekend. Take us through it.
No, I'm not bummed. I'm just tired as hell. That was definitely a complicated race, a bit more heat, was a little bit more on the limit with the bike. So, you know, rookie season, I'm still learning how to ride a Superbike. Need to understand how to ride these difficult conditions a little bit better. But, man, I just won a race a couple hours ago, so this is absolutely incredible. What a dream Sunday. For sure, at third place, I tried to hang on with them, but like I said, I was definitely on the limit. So, man, another podium fighting against these guys. They're the ones fighting for the championship. So to be doing this on my rookie season, I think is a job well done. I owe it all to my team, my crew, Top Pro Racing team. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all my guys. They've been working their butts off. So yeah, super pumped. Thank you again to all my sponsors, Palm Beach Police and Fire Foundation, OnlyFans, CJ 1833 CJ knows. Thank you guys so much. And all right, we'll try and win the next one.
Fairy tale weekend for Sean Dylan Kelly, his rookie season here in MotoAmerica.
Yeah, outstanding job. And here's a look at the championship standings. It's 46 points with 50 remaining in this championship. Josh Herrin still in control. Cameron Beaubier knows what's going on. So only those two remain in the championship hunt. Wow, Steel Commander Superbike, 3 races, was outstanding this weekend. We certainly hope you enjoyed it. We can't wait for you to join us again in New Jersey in less than 2 weeks' time. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. See you then.